Hi, welcome back to Thriftism. Today I'm going to show you how to make a halal style chicken. This is reminiscent of the food cart style halal food, New York City kind of thing. If you live in a big city, maybe you have access to this every day. The rest of us do not, and so this is kind of a nice way to get your fix in if you only get to eat it once a year or so on your trips. This is also a great way, even if you do live in a big city, you can make it yourself and save a little bit of money. And you can maybe know more what's in it. Maybe there's less sodium. Anyway, we're going to make halal chicken, so with that, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start by making the marinade for the chicken, since the chicken should sit in that for at least an hour, kind of try and soak up the flavors. So we're going to start, you need some lemon juice. We're going to put 2 tablespoons of that into our marinade. And I'm using a Pyrex dish because then I can just put the chicken right in here. Another option would be to use a Ziploc bag. You can shake that up if you want. Another thing is if you're using fresher ingredients like fresh oregano or fresh garlic that you don't have chopped up very well, then you might want to blend that for a little bit first. We use the pre-chopped garlic, so I'm not going to use a blender. So anyway, we added our lemon juice. We're going to add some oregano. We're going to add about half a tablespoon. If you're using fresh, you want to use at least twice this amount. Take the cover off, be able to do that a little bit better. And then we're going to continue by adding our ground coriander. This you can find most stores. Otherwise, if you are someone who grows your own herbs and stuff, this is the seed from cilantro. So that'll be our goal someday, to grow it all fresh. You'll add half a teaspoon of this. If you go a little over, that's okay too. It depends on how spicy, or not spicy is hot, but how much spices you want in there. And then finally we're going to add 3 garlic cloves. So that is about 3 tablespoons, if I remember right, of this, of the pre-chopped stuff. Otherwise, you can chop them your own. You can use a garlic press. I prefer to use this just because it makes my life easier, because we cook with garlic almost every day. So we're going to add all of that in. And then if you want, you can add just a tish of salt and pepper. I don't usually like to add much salt, but you can add a little bit just for flavor on that. Once you're done, you're going to add a little bit of olive oil. You're going to mix it up really well. And then separate a little bit out to save for later, but we're going to put our chicken breasts in there. So once you've got that marinade nice and mixed up, we're going to add our chicken breasts here. You want to make sure these are already thawed, so if they're frozen, take them out, put them in the microwave, or just plan ahead and try and take them out ahead of time. Put them in our thing of marinade here, and we're going to make sure those are covered. We also have a little glass jar of the marinade that we separated out. Once you've done that, let the chicken marinate for about an hour, and then we'll come back and look at how to cook the chicken, how to cook the rice, and how to make the white sauce to put on top. So while we're waiting for our chicken to be totally marinated, we're going to work on making the rice for the part of the dish. So we're going to start out by putting our butter in the pan, which I have already done. And with the butter, you're going to add your cumin, which I've pre-measured out, 1/4 of a teaspoon. And you're going to add in half a teaspoon of turmeric. And you're going to stir that all together and let that kind of simmer for, about a minute or so. And once you have done that, and you know the butter's nice and melted and everything's nice and mixed up, then we are going to add our rice, and we're going to cook that until it's just slightly toasted. Okay, now that your rice has been toasted, we're going to add the chicken broth. I am choosing to use the powdered stuff, add water. You can buy the pre-made liquid form, or if you make your own, that's acceptable too. For me, I'm going to be using 2.5 teaspoons of this with 2.5 cups of water. Once you've done this, you are going to let it sit and simmer, make sure the rice is cooked, and then we'll come back after our rice is cooked. So another thing you can do while you're waiting for your chicken to finish marinating or waiting for it to finish cook is you can begin making the white sauce. And we're going to do this by combining the mayo and the yogurt and sugar, vinegar, lemon juice, and parsley all together. So right now I already have my mayo in a bowl, and you do want to use mayo for this. It does taste quite a bit different than Miracle Whip. So if you're trying to save on calories, I don't know that this is the place to do it. Next, I'm going to add in my Greek yogurt here. I'm going to make sure we get all of that. And we're going to mix that together a little bit. It's going to look kind of like pudding. You get through with it. And then next, we're going to add our 1 tablespoon of sugar. Add that in. And then we need to have 2 tablespoons of white vinegar. Pretty big bottle here. As you can tell, we do shop in bulk on pretty much everything. Then once you add in your vinegar, you're going to add in a teaspoon of lemon juice to add a little bit more flavor. Finally, we're going to add in our parsley, and you can use fresh parsley for this, but right now we are using dried parsley. So you're just going to put in about a tablespoon of parsley here, dried parsley. And like I said, do salt and pepper to taste. We don't usually put very much salt in our food. We like to have the spices come through rather than the salt. And again, you're going to mix this up real good. Make sure it's kind of even consistency throughout. And then once you're done with that, you can go ahead and put this back in the fridge to store until you finish your meal. One thing to think about with this is I like to stir it in a bowl, one of these Pyrex bowls, because I have handy dandy lid that then when you're done, you can just put it in the fridge as is rather than transferring it to another container. This does make quite a bit of sauce, so it'll probably be enough for a few meals. You might even have to use it on some other things unless you use a lot of it on your halal food. Okay, now that your chicken has spent enough time marinating, we're going to take that and put it into our frying pan here. You're going to cook that until it's done, 4 or 5 minutes on each side. Once that's done, you're going to take it out and cut it into half-size pieces. And then you're going to combine everything back in your pan, the rice, the chicken, and the extra marinade that you made. Once you have all of that done, you are ready to eat. And you can serve this in pita bread. You can have it as a salad. You can add lettuce and tomatoes, kind of add whatever you want. Otherwise, like us, we're going to eat it just the rice and the chicken, and maybe we'll have some vegetables on the side, but hopefully you have learned something here and are going to have a great meal with your halal style chicken. Thank you for tuning in.